print, it's not that it's much harder to learn, it's that there are a lot of people who will learn it later. And you still can learn it later. It does require an effort. When you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you're a sponge. Yeah, just like you throw learning at these kids, and they absorb it through osmosis.
Wow. So, I tell you, when I was learning introduced to it once again at the Veterans Training Center up in Chicago, Hines Veterans Training Center for the Blind. A young lady introduced me to this. She pulled out this book, and she says, run your hand across this book, this page. What does this feel like? I said, well, it feels like a lady with a bumpy back to me. You feel like she needs some Noxzema or something.
Stuck on walls.
So, and it's very true. I find it very encouraging with the contractions B, C, and D. With A but can do. And you really can do it, so you can learn that Braille. So just remember, A but can do. And we have one text come in that said that was very interesting to hear about the Braille. I think it's going to encourage Miss Kimberly to work toward her Braille. So, so we're going to take another pause because, I'll just change it around. This but can do because we're getting ready to go on break. So we'll be talking to you here shortly on the RadioNext.tv on the Cool Groove site. The See What I'm Saying show with my co-hosts, Flo, and our guests, Mr. and Mrs. Tony and Pamela Snur. We'll be right back. Take care.
Have never been so much in love before. What a difference a true love made in my life. So nice, so right. Loving you gave me something new that I never felt, never dreamed of. Something's changed. No, it's not the feeling I had before. Oh, it's much, much more. Love, I never knew that a touch could mean so much. What a difference when we walk in. I feel so real. Lovers come and then
We're into our 8 o'clock hour, and as you always know, we play a song to help you relax and just take a look inside your eyes of your loved one, or if you can't see the eyes of them, just see something else. See whatever you see. But this next song goes out to Pam and Tony. Enjoy this next piece. It's just for you. It's The Closer I Get to You by Foreplay. Enjoy.
You're
Yeah, the closer I get to you. All right, Tony, back up off of it. Yeah, Pamela was just saying how much she loves to sing. And, going, where you say you like to sing at?
I sing around the house mostly, but I sing anywhere I'm at pretty much. Grocery stores, it doesn't matter.
Well, Tony, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
No, I don't have a problem with that. If she stopped singing, I'd be worried.
I know that's right. So, in your career, after you graduated from high school, was your sight still diminishing then, or had you lost total sight then?
No, I could still see. When I graduated from high school, I think my vision was probably about 2400. And that was when I pretty much, after graduating, I just took off on my own. Went and took some summer classes at Evansville University. And then in the fall, I got on a Greyhound bus and went to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Went off to a junior college because I was going to become a physical therapist. And I did over a year of college there, and they had a major staff change my second year there at that school, and I encountered some discrimination that I didn't know how to handle at that young age. I didn't have the National Federation of the Blind, so I didn't have the Army with me.
Well, let's talk about some of that, discrimination that you face, because certainly, there's students out here and parents that have children, or even some parents that may be attending school that may be facing some of the same issues. What type of discrimination did you face?
Well, basically it was being a physical therapist. I was, kind of give some background here, I was actually making A's and B's in all the academic part of the courses. I was actually even in the functional stuff. I was making A's and B pluses, and I'd actually had some very successful clinicals that I went through in the summertime. Now, when the fall semester rolled around with the new instructor, pretty much this new instructor said, you can take the performance exams if you want, but I'm not going to pass you on them, because I would only pass you if I felt comfortable having you performing these tasks in a hospital setting, and I do not feel comfortable having a blind person performing these tasks in a hospital setting, so I don't care how good you do, I'm not going to pass you. So it was very blatant discrimination, and I went ahead and took the classes. I did every single skill exam, and I dutifully, failed every single one of them, because as she kept to her word, I failed. She was going to fail me on every one, but I went through and stuck to it and systematically failed everything. And now, academically, I ended up with a B plus on my final exam and failed the class.
I tell you.
So I left that program and decided, well, I'll take some courses in becoming an electronics technician. And I did take the course, and I went through that, but pretty much right out of that, I ended up getting hired by a company not doing electronics repair, but we actually sold closed-circuit TVs we call them visual techs. They're print enlargeners. People today have little handheld or flat screen versions of these
little CCTVs,
closed-circuit TVs.
Okay.
The ones that we sold back in the 80s were these great big 19-inch behemoths with a camera underneath it. But
sounds like one I had.
I got lots of use out of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, matter of fact, I was working for this Edutech company in Minnesota, and they came to me, my boss came to me and said, how'd you like to go to an NFB convention? And I said, well, I'd love to, but I don't think I can afford it. He says, no, we're paying your way because we want you to work our booth. So I said, that would be great. So that landed me in Kansas City, Missouri in 1986.
Oh.
Working the booth there, and that's the same year that Pam was encouraged to come to the national convention there in Kansas City, and that was how her and I met.
Fate.
We ended up meeting at a dance. So, and the timing worked out perfect. I actually showed up a little late for this dance. I just walked right in there and stopped while I was waiting for the music to quit, because by that time my vision was almost gone by that point. But so I just stopped and waited for the music to stop, and when it did, this wonderful person walked up and asked me if I wanted to dance.
So Pam.
So then, so Pam sort of filled you in there, and how. So, I couldn't stand to be away. So a year later, I was back here in Indiana, where I took a training program at Crossroads. They actually, at that time, they had this pretty good program for teaching blind people the COBOL programming language. Mm-hmm. And several blind people benefited from this program while it was being done. And that is, it was a 9-month program, and that's how I got myself in the door of working, as a business type computer programmer. Started out with the federal government, worked for federal government for 8.5 years, and then I switched to private industry for a long time, for about 16 years until I was laid off. And then I found another position with the federal government again. And over the years, I stopped doing COBOL and started programming as a database programmer. I won't go into the boring details, but I taught myself PL SQL and started doing a lot of Oracle programming, and which was really beneficial when I got my current job, because that's what I do.
So with your current job, how long have you been on it?
I've been on it for about 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with a blind man with skills. Has not let blindness hold him back or keep him from his dreams. I think that's just so fantastic. You just epitomize the taglines and the brand, and it's just, if we didn't have to do the flan hand waving right now, I'd shake your hand right now. I'll tell you. But as you listen to both of these guests speak, you hear a lot of normalcy in their life. We just happen to be blind, and there is life after blindness, and we have to fight, for our rights. And these two individuals here are also activists. So, Pam, let's hear a little bit about what you're doing right now, because you're doing some fantastic things. And with your BEP Business Enterprise Program, you want to just let's talk about how you got in. You mentioned about Ron Brown getting you in there, but what is the BEP program for those that don't know?
It's a business enterprise program. It's a special program designed. It was actually implemented and established in 1936 by 2 congressmen. Due to the fact that so many blind people were unemployed, there was a guy outside of the House of Representatives selling pencils and newspapers. So the congressman felt so bad that he had to stand out there in the winter. They brought him inside the building, and from then on they came up with this program to help blind people get jobs due to the fact that 70% of blind people are unemployed. So President Roosevelt signed the program into law, and pretty much since then it's been administered by state agencies for the blind all over the country. So, but it's a wonderful program. It what you do after you go through your training, there's a 6 months training. Right now we're going through BOSMA. When I took it, I had to go to Chicago, and it was kind of funny story. When I went through my training, Tony and I had just got married in into May, and in August I said, Tony, I'm going to Chicago for 6 months. I'm leaving my 2 daughters, and my ex-mother-in-law is going to live with you till I get back. And guess what? We're still married, so that's a pretty good story. Well, my kids didn't know Tony that well yet, and they knew their grandma, so she stayed, and it was wonderful. Actually, she was a wonderful lady. But the program is a wonderful program. We have about 45 blind vendors in our program in the state of Indiana. And the highway locations that you see, a lot of blind vendors running those locations. A lot of blind vendors are in prisons, not because they did anything wrong, but because they're running the vending machines there. And then we have, some federal buildings, which is what I'm in. I am actually, for 25 years, I ran the vending location at the downtown Indianapolis post office. And that was great. And then 3 years ago, this location came up for bid, and I won that bid. And so now I am at the federal building, and I have a large cafeteria, a convenience store, a coffee shop, and the vending. And that we have 23 employees. I have what we call a teaming partner. This doesn't happen too often. We have a couple of these situations. Usually, it's a blind vendor running a snack bar, or a blind vendor running a over the counter snack bar, or the vending machines themselves. But this is kind of a different location. But we also have a laundromat that we're running, different things that blind people are doing. So we're trying to think outside the box, as they say. I hate that saying, but anyway, we're trying to come up with new things that blind people can do because the government kind of goes down, and when that shrinks, that hurts the program because blind people are in those buildings. But it's a wonderful program. I can't say enough good things about that program because it sets you up in your own business, and then you're pretty much responsible. You have to keep the machines, in good repair. You have to make sure everything is good dates on everything, and everything is inspected by Board of Health just like anybody else, and you're expected to do everything anybody else does, except you're blind. So no one cuts you any slack for it, but you are, you're the manager, and you're the one that's going to be running that business, and you're responsible for all your taxes. You're responsible for your employees' taxes, and all that goes with running a business. Did that answer your question?
Wow, and all this, while being blind or visually impaired, as they say. And now, do you have outside entities? Do you have to say, well, hey, I want to take these businesses from these blind folks,
We do. That does happen. But we don't have a lot of people. The fact that these are a federal building or, highway locations, we get what we call first right of refusal. So the state, if there's a location that comes available, like in a state hospital, the state would be, would go to the vending program first. And then if the vending program says we don't need this location, it's not big enough, then they can bid it out to a private company. But we don't have a whole lot of locations right now. I'm not even sure we have any in private industry. We have had in the past a few in private industry, but most of the people, they did try to take, we had a bill that almost went through Congress. We caught it in time. It was called the OASIS program. And so we rallied all the troops, and we told everyone, please, you got to call your congressman, tell them they can't do this program, because what it would have done would have hurt all the blind vendors all over the highways, because they wanted to bring in like McDonald's and all of these guys on the highway, which would have really put all these blind vendors out of business. So, and the congressman didn't even realize that it would do that when he was talking about doing it. So when he found out, he's like, please call off the dogs, because so many people called in and said, why are you doing that to these blind guys? So it did help that we got the news people involved, and we got Ron and I went on a radio and TV, and other blind vendors went on TV, so it stopped it. So that was one of the fights we had. But most of the time, like I said, it's a federal building, so we do get first right of refusal.
And you guys are very well organized too. Was it Joy Higdon that's the president?
Right. We have an organization called the National Association of Blind Merchants.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a national level. I'm the treasurer of the national level, and then we have a state level, and Joey Higdon is president, does a great job, and it does help that we are organized. If you're in the National Association of Blind, you're also in the NFB, so it's kind of what do you call it? A subdivision of the National Federation of the Blind. So, yeah, we're very organized. And if something like that comes up, we all try to, get everything in a row and send, get our ducks row and write letters and go see people and make sure this doesn't happen. So that's kind of what we do.
I mean, the advocacy portion of you guys' lives. And, Tony, he has... we have problems here in Indiana. Oftentimes we send an email to Tony. And Tony just, he takes it by the horns and resolves these issues. And we're going to talk about one of the programs that you're getting ready to chair, which is going to be at the the Indiana State Convention. I think it's our 61st convention, am I correct? Or 62nd? Which one is it? Or 61st, I believe it is.
Probably.
Yes. And, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the success and about the advocacy. And there's some very important information that we really want to share and honor that has been bestowed upon Pam, or that she has earned. So we're getting ready to take a short pause for the calls once again, and we'll be right back on RadioNext.tv on the Cool Groove site on the See What I'm Saying show. See you in a minute. is Lee Martin. Tune in to see what I'm saying. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RadioNext.tv, Cool Grooves. I'll see you there. Yeah, I like that one. We're back here on RadioNext.tv on the Cool Groove site. And we're here with some very special individuals, a loving couple. And as you have heard, their journey, their path to one another has really been a unique path. And just, 1986, was that your favorite year?
Yes.
Yeah, Tony,
That was our year.
and I fell in love with her from the Beatles. And so 1986. And, I know life is not always easy for none of us, but, working together, as we have said in some of our themes, working together does work. And, the passion that you guys have for what you do, the purpose and the perseverance is just a reality that is inspiring. And I just want to thank you once again. So let's hear something about you, Tony. You're getting ready to do a program, host an exhibit at the Indiana State Convention of the National Federation of the Blind in South Bend, Indiana, at the end of October. Is that going to be a Halloween type deal you putting on, or what are you going to be doing there with that? What type of exhibit will you be putting on?
With the
KNFB?
The state convention, I'll be doing the KNFB reader. I'll be demonstrating that at the convention. And for those who don't know what the KNFB reader is, it is an app that you put on a smartphone, on an iPhone. And this, I guess I'll sort of give the little history of the app, a little bit of history of this program. It started out back in the early 70s. There was a guy by the name of Ray Kurzweil who got introduced to the NFB, and he decided to come up with a reading machine using a scanner and a large processor, and it was like a $30,000 device, the size of a compact washing machine with a speaker hooked up to it, a scanner and a keypad. So this thing was big, but it was the first machine that you could place a piece of printed paper on, and it would scan it and read it to you in a synthetic voice. Now, since then, it has shrunk down. In the 80s, they had a machine that was more of a desktop model, but still pretty good size. Then Ray Kurzweil, he spoke for years about, he says, one of these days you're going to be carrying these around in your pocket. And that actually wound up happening in the mid-2000s. He did actually compact it down into what they call a PDA, a camera that he put together in a case. Then in 2008, that was then migrated to a smartphone, a Nokia smartphone. Now today, it is an app that you can run on your iPhone. So you just run this app, and you hold it about maybe 12 to 14 inches above the printed page and tap the large picture icon on it, and it snaps a picture, and within a few seconds it starts reading whatever's on that sheet, whether it be a letter that you opened up in the mail or a memo that you got at work. So this app has really helped. It is definitely a piece of technology that has helped a lot of blind people, because it's not always convenient to find a person to read something to you, especially if it's something small. You have a sheet of paper and you go, what is this? And it might be a piece of junk, but you hold on to it. You might become a real junk collector because you're like, well, I don't want to throw that away. It might be important. Then, now I take the KNFB reader and I snap a picture and go, oh, okay, I can throw that away. Or I'll say, I'm really glad I did not throw that away. That's important. So
I know I enjoy using that KNFB reader as well for menus. It's just a plethora of things that you can use it for.
And the price has gone way down since back we're talking $50,000 to $30,000 where it started. In the 80s, it was about $10,000 for one of these machines. Then it went to $5,000 in the 90s, and then it was about $1,500 to pretty much get yourself set up in the mid 2000s. Now, if you have an iPhone, it's $99 for this app, and it's moving to Android.
It's moving to Android.
Yeah, this app is being developed for the Android platform as well, and it'll be $99 for a lot of functionality.
Now, for these types of scanners and, like the KNFB reader, I did hear Mr. Kurzweil speak on perhaps one day having them in your glasses to where you'll be able to, read license plates, billboards, identify pictures and things of that nature. He mentioned that at one of our conventions. Are you aware of that technology?
It's coming. It will be here. It'll be here, and it'll be pretty much as processor speeds double and quadruple, and as they do according to Moore's law, processor speeds get faster and faster every year and a half. So we'll have real-time recognition. It's going to get to the point where these devices they'll be able to read signs and even recognize people.
That's going to be
Match people's faces against database and pretty much tell you, hey, that's Lee Martin coming down the hall carrying is that a beer in his hand?
Yeah. So, one thing I'm really waiting for it to do, though, and I know a lot of guys and ladies, too, is waiting to let you know if the person you're looking at is a 1 or a 10.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Now that would be an achievement.
He is predicting that it will. You'll walk into a room and it might say there's Lee Martin, Florence, and 2 other men and another woman sitting at a table.
Wow, I mean,
That'd be amazing.
And you would hear it and nobody else would, because on these glasses you would have, they'd probably use bone conduction headphones, which sit on your cheek instead of in your ear, so it's not blocking your hearing, so you hear everything else, unimpeded, as well as what's coming through your device.
Well, one other question I have for you with technology, the Google cars, what's your take on those right now? Have you done much research on that?
I've, the info that I can get on it, they've actually had, Google has self-driving vehicles been driving up and down highways in California, at least several 100,000 miles that they've put in, and I think the only accident one of the vehicles was in was due to a sighted driver ran into it, or it backed into it. So the technology is really, it's moving along. I think it has a ways to go. Part of it is there's political and social. That's going to take a while for our political arena to accept it, the insurance companies to be willing to cover it, and for society to accept it and not be freaked out by it, even though I think it's pretty freaky how some regular drivers drive. So
For real.
I think it's coming along, but I think we do have, it's going to be some years before we have that car that we can hop in and press a button and say, hey, I'd like to go to Lee Martin's house.
No, I ain't going to Lee Martin's house. But, that's great technology. And I think we had in our society, as we evolved, we've had those same issues with technology, all the way back to the airplane. When people were talking about flying like a bird, I mean, you got to...
Brothers were considered crazy.
Yes, you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs back then. Mm-hmm. And look at it now. I mean, we just everywhere, So, thank you for that interesting bit of technical conversation there.
Good information.
And as you see, I mean, you have really not let blindness define you, and I'm just glad to be a part of this organization with you. I really am. So, I know Florence got some questions for you, Pamela.
Well, Pam.
All right.
Okay, Pam. What's been going on with you and Hadley?
Oh, well, I started, Hadley has a new program, Entrepreneur of Excellence program. And what this is, they're actually going to be offering training for the BEP program all over the country. So you won't have to leave your home. You'll be able to take classes online through Hadley, and then each state will do their own on-the-job training. So instead of me having to leave my little girls and go away to Chicago for 6 months, I could have stayed home and done the program from home. So they offered it to any vendor that was already a vendor, because we're not going to take the training again. But it really came at a great time for me, because I had just got this new location, and the new location is a lot different than my old location because it's more geared towards the administration part, and I do a lot of payroll. I do a lot of work on my payroll system, and I do all the entering of all the bills and all that kind of thing. So they had offered like Excel, so I've used that. I took networking, and I've done corresponding classes and all kinds of different classes through them. And I finished the course, and I got pretty much straight A's. And
congratulations!
Thank you. And then I got a phone call in about, I think probably a couple months ago, and they called and said, "You won Student of the Year." I was like, "What?"
Congratulations.
So I have to go to Hadley October the 6th, and we're going to do a couple of speeches, which I'm I'm a little worried about, but I'll be fine. Tony
sure
pretty
you
much
will.
knows it by now. So I'm really prepared for it. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. So that'll be fun.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, this Hadley course that you took, how did you get introduced to Hadley?
Actually, I think it was through the National Federation of the Blind and one of our National Association of Blind Merchants. We have a convention that we put on every other year. It's called BLAST, Business Leadership and Superior Training Conference, and we move it all over the country. And like I said, I was on that national board, and I deal with a lot. I'm also on the Blind Vendors Committee, which is a committee that helps represent vendors and dealing with the rules and regulations and laws of the state, dealing with the vendors. So I also help plan that conference here that we have every other year here in Indiana. So that's kind of how I got involved with Hadley, and was through the National Association of Blind Merchants, and so I'm very active in all those groups. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Can I brag on my husband a minute?
Oh, you sure can.
Well, he talks about all the technology he does, and he's great with the technology. Believe me, I'm always like, how do I do this? How do I do that? But he also does a lot of other things that most people just can't believe he does. He he rewires things, electrical. We changed had a chandelier, and we changed our living room and our dining room. So he moved my chandelier from the living room and moved it to the dining room, moved the ceiling fan, and he just rewired them. And he done a lot of he does plumbing. He fixes about anything in our house that breaks. Tony fixes it. It's amazing to me. And I've been around blind people all my life, so it's I have to brag on him. But yeah, he does a lot of stuff that people just can't believe he does. Our neighbors are like, what the heck? He's out there in the middle of the night doing something with the pool. We have a swimming pool, and he's out there checking. And I'm sure they're like, what the heck is he doing outside in the nighttime? But it doesn't bother him, so So anyway, I like to brag on him because he's really good at what he does, and he's just very, very bright.
Yeah, I can tell that he's very articulate.
Yes,
and
he is.
good with his hands, and you're just all around America. And you guys are just a fascinating
Yes, you are.
couple.
Yes, you
And you work well together, and I know you have a lot of fun together, and you just live life together. And Florence, I think that's just just so fantastic.
I think so too.
And you're great with the National Federation of the Blind. Once again, that is that is the largest organization of organized blind people on this continent, and with over 50,000 members and over 500 chapters. And we encourage you to take the time out and listen. Go up to the NFB.org. That's NFB.org, and learn more about the organization. And if you know of someone that's maybe losing their sight, or someone that's sighted, because we have sighted members in the organization as well, just go up to NFB.org and check out the organization. I think you'll be more than pleased with the direction that it'll take you into.
Now,
so, go ahead.
well,
Florence.
I was going to ask Pam. Now, what happens when the vendors decide to retire? What happens to the sites then?
They actually get bid out again to another blind person. That's the only kind of, I guess, if you would say a bad side to it. You can't, it doesn't go to your family. It goes to another blind vendor, which is, that's fine.
That
I
is.
mean, that way it's prepared for the next, kids that come after us, and we have this program will still be there for them. And I always try to figure out a way to make it better for the kids coming up next, because we have to think about those guys.
That's
guys,
right.
They're going to have to, it's tough out there for people to know, just everybody, but not just for blind people. And this program is the one thing that I know that we have that's really helped a lot of blind people. So it's a great program. It really is. Can you tell I really like my program?
I can. Now, what suggestion would you give to, let's say, young person who basically is saying, okay, I'm at a point where I really don't know what to do. I've heard about this program, but what suggestions would you give?
Well, I actually usually I do this a lot because I've encouraged a lot of people to go into the program. But a lot of times, if they're really young, they're really usually not quite ready to take on that kind of a responsibility. So I usually have them go check with, go to some of the blind vendors, work with some of the blind vendors, see what kind of location you like. Is this something you really want to do? Because I think that's really important. Just hearing about it is one thing, but actually doing it and living it for a few days and seeing if that's what you really want helps. And so that's and then I explain, the whole system to them and how it works. But that's the biggest thing, is to go and really do the work for a while and see if you really like it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. So, Tony, you want to brag on your wife since she was bragging on you?
Can I tell you something funny here, Lou?
Sure can.
I can tell you this because it's kind of funny. And, my dad and mom were great. They loved Tony to pieces. But one day, my dad was huge, big guy, 6'4", weighed about, 2-something. But anyway, big guy, and Tony and I had just really met, and I took him up to my family's, and my dad said, I don't know how they got on this conversation, but they said, "Man, it must be dangerous for blind people to smoke." And Tony said, "Yeah, they might get lung cancer." And my brother was he fell off the couch because he was laughing so hard. He said, if Tony could have seen my dad, he probably wouldn't have said that to my dad, but he did. It was so funny. I never got over that one. It was just a great line.
It just rolled out. There it was.
Wow.
I just like that.
You two are compliment each other very well. Very well.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break before we come to the very last leg of our program. So we'll be right back on the See What I'm Saying show with Tony and Pam Snur. I didn't say it right, though. Tell me how you say that again.
Schnurr.
Snur.
Yeah.
Schnur.
You're
There
close
you
enough.
go. There you go.
You know, I'm having problems with this foreign language, though. You know.
It is German.
So we'll be right back, and forgetting about co-host Flo over here. I'm glad you said something, 'cause
Yes, sir.
I ain't seeing you. So we'll be right back in a few seconds.
We got a call on the line.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, man, this Big Mike, man.
Yeah, I figured it was you, Big Mike. What's happening?
Hey, man, I'm